Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. GME, the Roaring Kitty live stream starting. Looks like the stock's halted, down 32%, but not much besides some disclosures and disclaimers getting shown.
He's lawyered up, let's face it.
Yeah, well, he better be. Yeah. But we'll get back to that if any news comes out of that live stream. But now it's time for our cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Megan Brantley, Vice President of Research at Likefolio. Welcome back to the show, Megan. Happy Friday.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy Friday indeed.
All right, so we're talking Reddit. I mean, a perfect day to talk Reddit, just due to the fact that, this whole GameStop and meme stock, is starting to explode once again. But the stock's had a pretty good run so far this year.
Yeah, I think that it's a perfect day to talk about Reddit because it really showcases Reddit's unique value proposition to consumers. This is a company that really leaned into being a place where consumers could go and really candidly talk about topics of interest to them. And this is increasingly important. We see a lot of consumers who want to kind of lean into this authenticity of a platform and just the ability to be able to talk about and speak the things that they want to say. And Reddit is certainly capitalizing on this. But I think beyond just itself as a content sharing platform, it's also leaning into AI. This is a company that is a training ground for a lot of the large language models that we see. And this is also a company that's using AI to improve its own services. So to improve how it kind of refines the communities within its own platform. So I think that that's really interesting to watch that unfold. It's also a company that's leaning into advertising. This is something that it's working on. I know that its average revenue per user increased in its first quarter post IPO, and so that's certainly something that we'll be watching. And this almost reminds me of a Pinterest when we talk about its revenue per user, because we see a large international audience and it's been able to monetize that audience less. So it has similar hurdles to Pinterest in that sense of it has certainly an opportunity for growth if it can monetize those international users. But it's really interesting because, like I said, it's kind of the social play, the AI play, and the advertising play, and definitely been fun to watch and extremely relevant today.
Megan, this company, it struggles with profitability, but we were worried about Uber struggling with profitability, and all of a sudden you get enough people where the scale comes in and all of a sudden they're profitable, and they need eyeballs on this. And this event-based trading world that we find ourselves in, it does favor a stock like Reddit, but they need eyeballs to get advertisers, to get profits. What am I missing, Megan?
No, you're exactly right. And so one of the areas that we look to kind of gauge this user growth is web traffic. And you can see that on this chart here. And what this comes out to, if you really look in 2024, there's a noted acceleration. We have global web traffic up by about 40% year over year. To give scale, a year ago, it was down by 9% year over year. A quarter ago, it was up by 21% year over year. So you can see some serious adoption and acceleration and eyeballs on its platform. So I think that its IPO has definitely done a good job of generating overall brand awareness, and it's kind of stepping into the right place to showcase its value proposition to users, and it's a very unique place for users to share content. So definitely something to watch, and this is the metric that we'll be watching, but for now it does look like the company is doing a good job of gaining those additional eyeballs that it needs to continue to grow.
Megan, when you look at that, I looked at your global web traffic on this. It looks like it stops about the beginning of June. With this explosion that we've seen over the last week with the meme stock trade starting to ramp back up, one of the problems I have when I looked at Reddit is the fact that it's not as user-friendly, I think, when you're looking at it or trying to find something on it. Has that been a problem? Do you guys see anything as far as happiness levels, as far as your data goes, that hey, Reddit's it's harder to navigate than maybe some of the other social platforms?
You know, it's interesting. The reason that I'm coming with you with a couple of different types of charts is because we actually listen and use Reddit whenever we're trying to understand what consumers are talking about. So to gauge happiness would be a little bit like Inception on our end whenever we're trying to understand that. But we do see a lot of mentions on other sites like Twitter or X, the users who are talking about, okay, when they want to find something, even on Google, they Google and use the term Reddit to help drive to the thread or the community specifically that they're looking for. So I think that there's definitely a learning curve involved, but I do think consumers are getting more savvy and nailing down the exact topic and information that they're looking for.
Yeah, they announced that partnership with ChatGPT on Reddit, bringing their ChatGPT, the content on Reddit to OpenAI and ChatGPT. But, you know, if you had earnings coming up, we've only had one publicly announced earnings report since their IPO became public in March. You look at this one, if you had an earnings score here, would you continue to like it, maybe just on the back of all this, you know, headline news they're getting this week?
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of just consumer buzz and consumer interest momentum. I think that the fact that we're seeing acceleration in those eyeballs on its platform, that's really, really critical. It's been accelerating, and we think that that should be a good indicator of potential growth. But it really comes down to how well this company can monetize. And so we'll be watching and listening for that. It's very, very new, so it's really hard to back test something like this. But definitely from a just overall consumer momentum perspective, we see a lot more eyeballs heading toward Reddit, which we think is, you know, a good sign for future and long-term growth.
Yeah, I think what investors want is that negative EPS to turn positive.
It's not a small one either.
No, over $8,
$8.
minus $8. All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Megan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Megan Brantley, Vice President of Research at Likefolio, breaking down Reddit. I mean, it's not